And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 9th round of the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series, presented by the Full Send Racing Network. Tonight's race doubles is not only a traditional point-scoring, normal series race, but also as the Series All-Star race. We brought back a couple Series all-time favorites. I believe the top two all-time winners in series history. So we've got some big names tonight making their return, and we are already into qualifying. We're off and running for tonight's race here at Iowa Speedway, and what a race we are in for tonight, because Iowa Speedway, if those of you that remember the first season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series that happened last year will remember just how great the racing was earlier this in this pandemic season since we've been doing these leagues. So what a venue we're at tonight here in virtual, of course, Iowa Speedway here on iRacing. And yeah, just genuinely a track that I think will really showcase the very best of each and every driver. As you see, we get into the start of qualifying. We don't waste any time in these broadcasts anymore. We got some stuff to go over as we go on in the race, but we got some caution periods, so there is always time to talk about that sort of stuff. But here we go. Times are already starting up on the board, and as you'll notice, Iowa, a very short oval, just over a mile. So we're going to see lap times in the range of the mid to high 21-second mark. So Mitch Morrow currently going to go to the top of the board, but while we have a second, let's talk about some of these names that, you may recognize if you're a familiar driver to the series, familiar fan, I should say, or familiar driver if you've been around with us for that long. The first name we got to talk about is this guy here, the number 16, currently sitting third on your board. His father actually in the number 1 spot right now at a 21.575, but that is Logan Paxa here, driver of the number 16. 3-time champion in series I've hosted, both Carts to Computers Racing Series seasons, and then of course the first season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. So Logan Paxa, a very familiar name around these parts, and a guy that I know tonight, even in a one-off appearance, will be doing his very best to make his presence known. But David Paxa, his father, who joined the series in the first season of the Snowstorm Series, is currently running at the top of the board at 21.487, a time that I think could get chopped down a little bit just because lap times in practice were running in the ballpark of about 21.3 by the end of the session. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of those times come off a little bit further. Right now, Tim Salvatore jumping up to the 4th spot there. He's a guy that, has had quite a season for himself, including a week ago when he won his first race in series history at Homestead Miami Road Course. Gonna look to follow that performance up tonight with another stellar one. Mitch Morrow gonna go to the top of the board. Another guy who's had a stellar season so far. Remember, he got his first career podium at Road America. He goes to the top of the board just ahead of the charging Rich Foligno, who just finished up his lap time. And we're actually going to ride on board with Rich for a lap here just to get a handle on this track here at Iowa Speedway. Not a long oval by any means. You're going to see Rich in the 99 taking a very close line to the apex there, right above that yellow line. And you can already see on the timing tower 18 drivers running with us in tonight's race. Unfortunately, the only mainstay series driver not in tonight's race is Max Preston, who may join us on commentary later. But Andrew Bedrosian just finishing up his lap now, and a guy that is very familiar with being the fastest in qualifying. He jumps to the top of the board with a 21.389. Sitting 600ths up on Trevor Anderson, who currently sits in the 2nd spot. You're seeing there on the bottom the first sector and the 2nd sector, yellow meaning it was not their personal best of the session, green meaning it was, and purple meaning it was the best overall. So if you see purple on one of those bars there on the bottom of your screen, that is a pretty darn good sign that that driver is running quite well. And that is what applies to Andrew Bedrosian here. He is looking great at the moment, and that number 5 is taking those corners perfectly, and now he's going to dive off and going to wait for a slipstream. Looking elsewhere on the track, we got a tandem here forming between Marshall Crocker Sr. and Nick Nickerson, both guys trying to get some slipstreams off of each other. So Marshall Crocker Sr. going to wash up there in that number 15 car, sliding ahead of Nick, who will now get the slipstream and should jump back in front. But Iowa Speedway, what a track we are at here tonight, and certainly a venue that I think it maybe applies better to an IndyCar series, somewhere that's a little bit more high speed, where braking is a little bit more required. But even the lifting, it's a very technical track here in the Indy Pro at Iowa, a track where you can't go flat out through the corners, as you're going to see as these guys kind of battle back and forth. Guys do have to lift. You do occasionally have to downshift, and it's just so crucial. It's a track that really is more technical than a lot of other ovals, and it's why I think guys like this man, Mr. Michael Krobach, driver of the number 72, making his return, his second appearance in the Snowstorm Series, a very familiar driver to the Carts to Computers Racing Series, ran both seasons in that series, won a number of races, still sits second all time behind Logan Paxa, and race wins in series I've hosted. So he's got plenty of abilities here at the ovals. We called him the Oval Master back in the day for a reason. And Michael is ready to go tonight. The 72 getting fired up, currently sitting 5th on the board, trying to improve, only 1,000th up on Mitch Morrow in 2nd. And David Lakey should not go unnoticed. He just jumped back to the pit lane, but the 84 of David Lakey, what a start he's had to qualifying so far. Going to go in for a fresh set of rubber and going to try again as we get to the halfway point in this qualifying session. He's currently sitting in 2nd. Looking back down towards the bottom of the board, looking at guys that are trying to get their way into the top 10. Fred Zufelt there in the number 17 entry, that all-red Omega Racing entry. He goes around the outside of Tanner Digner just below him, so may have got the slipstream there up to turn 1. We'll see what he can do. And this lap, somebody in the background has made contact with the wall. I think that was James Donk. Yes, it was. The 12 car sliding into the inside retaining wall. Heavy damage to his car. Just washed up a little bit too high. Would have guessed was probably in the slipstream on somebody else and just could not get it loaded up in time for the corner. David Paxa, surprised he didn't jump up a little bit further. He ran the fastest of anybody in that first sector. But that is the thing about, you know, draft slipstream based qualifying, is that it's so random. It's so, you know, hard to kind of get things set up in both sectors of the track. You can be fast in the first sector, but if you pass all the cars you're using the slipstream, well, suddenly you have really no help to improve your time in the second sector. So it is really a balancing act here. Justin Lewick we now see in the 55 car. Taking a pretty good line there, matching the inside yellow line as he comes through, but again, just doesn't have any draft help, and that is going to be the story of this qualifying session. It is really unfortunate as a driver to have to back out and, you know, back off and sit behind other cars in order to make up time, but it's what you got to do. You got to back off and just find a group of cars. It's all about timing, you know, sitting right behind enough guys that you have slipstream help all the way around the lap, and that is often easier said than done. So right now, Justin just kind of running by himself, but we'll see if he finds some help a little bit later on in the session. But he's only got 3.5 minutes to do so, and currently still at the top of the board is Andrew Bedrosian. Tim Salvatore was caught looking backwards there, but he has since got it figured out. David Paxa goes back up to 2nd on the board. Those times are closing in on Andrew at 21.3, still the fastest time of the session by Andrew, but David in the very low 21.4s. He is getting to that vicinity as well. 1500ths down on, 15,000s down on David, I should say, is Rich Foligno, a guy that we always talk about here at the Ovals, especially in the Indy Pro. Somebody very experienced in these, somebody who wins so many practice races throughout the week preparing for these sorts of races. But the question is tonight, what can he do? Can he carry over the win he got in our second practice race this week, where he showed a ton of pace, a ton of ability to defend from the lead? He's going to need those skills tonight, and qualifying up on the second row would not be a bad way to start the night. Looking elsewhere throughout the field to find some guys we haven't talked about yet again. Remember, last week's winner at Homestead Road Course, his first win in not the oval discipline where he's been so successful in qualifying in the past, but actually at the road course there for Tim Salvatore. That was really good to see, and you know, to get that win in what you could argue was the less you know, able of his two disciplines, which are both great, but he always seemed like more of an oval guy in the way he was racing and qualifying, but he was always quick at the road courses and finally got it done last week. We'll see what he does tonight in that sophomore appearance. Nick Nickerson up to 5th though, and he's a very important name in this series because he is your new points leader as of last week's race at Homestead. Just some of Andrew Bedrosian's struggles there later in that race, a couple wrecks there towards the midpoint of that event. Well, it unfortunately means he has dropped back out of the series lead, but that is very good for Nick Nickerson, who now jumps up to a 10-point advantage. We're going to go over the series points in just a second once qualifying concludes, but he's had a pretty good lap so far. Here you see right in the draft on Michael Nickel, who does make contact with the outside wall. Does Nick run a good lap time? Fred Zufelt jumps up 2 spots to 13th. Logan Paxa further down the board. Remember, he was the fastest time for quite a while there. Has since kind of backed out. Tim Salvatore makes contact with the wall. That'll be it for this current stint for him in qualifying. He's going to have to go back to the pits and probably won't have time to get those tires heated up again. So that'll be it for Tim. Probably the lowest of all of his oval qualifying efforts this season. But now we're coming to just over a minute to go left in the session. Can anybody topple this man's time? Andrew Bedrosian's 21.389, still sitting as the fastest of anybody right now. Tanner Digner out to the outside, though, doing a fair job of staying in his slipstream. So the 51 car could improve from that 16th spot currently on the timing tower. But think about that. He's less than 0.2 of a second back from Andrew Bedrosian. So such fine margins here. Michael Nickel runs his personal best time, but it's not enough to move up the board. 40 more seconds to go, maybe 2 more laps for guys that are still out there on hot tires. But you see on the bottom there, just nobody running better. Nobody running green sectors, and Mitch Morrow now coming down pit road. He's done for the session. Michael Krobach, does he have anything left in the tank? He's not really in a draft pack or anything like that. So I think guys are pretty much done for the session, and how impressive it would be if that guy, Andrew Bedrosian, goes for his 5th pole of the season doing so in a group of 18 cars at a track where it is so competitive. You see the lap times, 2.9 tenths separate the top 18. That is insane. Something you'll probably never see again in this series, or at least not unless we go to an even shorter oval like at Bristol, which would be pretty fascinating in the Indy Pros, actually, now that I say it. But the the checkered flag does come out, so we are done for the session after this lap. And yeah, I don't think anybody's going to find a way to beat that. Justin Lewick is just finishing up here. Rich Foligno diving below the line, so he's done, content with third for the time being. David Pax is still currently on the front row. Will he improve? No, he will not, but doesn't really need to. That should be it. I think everybody is now finished up their lap time right in the back of Andrew Bedrosian. But it's qualifying. These guys are messing around. I wouldn't read too much into that. So there we go. We are now finished in tonight's qualifying session. But with that, we can now get on to some important series info before we go too much further. And before we get to your starting lineup for tonight, let's just go over your points. Your points leader heading into tonight's race at, not Miami. Everything is reset. Let's just get that fixed here very quickly. Round 9 at Iowa. It is, of course, March 6th, 2022. This year is really flying by. I don't know about you guys, but definitely feels like this series is getting quicker and quicker by the week. Feels like the gap between races is smaller and smaller, but at least as far as I'm concerned, that is not a bad thing. I've really enjoyed this season of the series, and hopefully all of you watching at home have as well. So, well, it's going to say Miami, but you guys know what track we're at. Well, actually, we'll pull it down very quickly, make sure everything is ship shape, ready to go. There we go. Round 9 at Iowa. Nick Nickerson, your points leader tonight, heading into tonight's event. 314 points, 10 clear of Andrew Bedrosian for second. And it's Trevor Anderson in third at 281. He's still in the vicinity. He's still in the ballpark, only 33 points back. Then quite a ways down is Michael Nickel, who still sits in fourth, the currently best Canadian in the series. Then it's David Lakey in the David Paxa tandem there, 203 and 202 points respectively. Tim Salvatore at 190, Christopher Mitchell 188. Max Preston, who has missed the last two races, I believe, at only 188. But you got to think if he had been here the entire season, he may even be in the contest for the championship lead. But he's at 182. And Tanner Dignard rounds off the top 10 with 174. We'll scroll down a little bit further just so you can see all of your favorite drivers there on the leaderboard. And there at the bottom is Logan Paxa, just ahead of Brett Guzik. Has only run one race this season, but we'll see what he can do tonight as he goes for another shot here at Iowa Speedway of winning in a one-off, something currently only Michael Krobach has done in series history. Let's go from the back of the grid to the front, something we don't often do, but they do it in Formula One, so why not? Starting in 18th here on row number 9, it is Jack Hillier alongside James Donk. Then it's Tanner Dignard alongside Logan Paxa making his one-off return tonight. Marshall Crocker Sr. and Fred Zufelt on row number 7. Then it's Dan Skilton and Michael Nickel running side by side. Justin Lewick and Tim Salvatore, I should say, will run on the same row in row number 5. Then it's Michael Krobach running alongside Mitch Morrow. Got to jump up here a little bit on the grid. Jump up a couple spots. There we go. After that, it is Trevor Anderson on row number 3, qualifying in the 6th spot, just behind, I should say, Nick Nickerson, his championship rival, your championship points leader coming in tonight, starting in the 5th spot. David Lakey starts in 4th alongside Rich Foligno. He sits to the outside of Rich, who again, coming into tonight, you got to think is one of the favorites, but when will that bad luck for Rich that we've seen so many times in this series, when will he finally overcome it? David Paxa starts on the front row alongside Andrew Bedrosian, a guy that is very familiar with the checkered flag and more particularly the top step of the podium. What a season he has had to this point. And tonight, if he wants to take that points lead back, he's going to have to beat a pretty substantial field. But if anybody can do it, it is the driver of the number 5, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. And with that, that is your starting grid for tonight's race here at Iowa. The cars all getting fired up. You see guys kind of juking and jiving around. That is to try to get some heat in the tires. You speed up and then you slow down, get on the brakes, and that is the most effective way in iRacing to build tire temp. And that is what the guys are trying to do. That's going to be so crucial tonight, is keeping the tires hot, making sure you can avoid that outside wall, because, man, can it be real easy to not do so if you happen to make a mistake. Let's get ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't mention it, but I am Marshall Crocker Jr., your host on the Full Send Racing Network. We are here for the All-Star race. The race winner tonight will pick the venue for our finale after the race. But for now, green flag for Andrew Bedrosian in the 9th round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series 2nd season at Iowa Speedway. What a jump for the driver of the number 5 car. He shoots off into turn 1 with a commanding lead. 1 lap in the books here out of 125 tonight at Iowa, and the top 2 remains the same from qualifying. But 3rd place now, Nick Nickerson on the high side there, that black, green, and gray entry there in the 2 car, making some progress on the high side. Sorry for the mild stuttering, ladies and gentlemen, just a lot of cars in the same area right now. That'll get figured out in just a moment. But David Paxa down to the inside, looking to take the lead early. He was great here last season at Iowa, led a large portion of that race, looking to do so again tonight, down to the bottom. The question is, how much is he going to push up in Andrew Bedrosian? Maybe try to take the line away from him a little bit, but no, content with where he's sitting for now. And it looks like Andrew is going to stay to the inside. He's not really giving up any ground to him whatsoever. Really impressive the amount of speed he's able to carry up there up top. And remember, each lap he stays up there and David continues to go low. That's just more laps that Andrew's going to be succeeding in terms of tire wear, as he doesn't burn the rubber up quite as much. But the crossover now, as David slides up in front of him, tries the slide job, but gets a little bit too loose. And back to the front goes Andrew Bedrosian. This battle, I'd imagine, is going to be kind of the main storyline of the early portion of this race. But sitting there in 3rd, perfectly in the catbird seat, it is Nick Nickerson driving the number 2 car. He's sitting up there on the top side, and the question is for guys like Nick, again, those experienced iRacing veterans, that patience is really up his wheelhouse. It's the kind of racing that he likes to go for. How much is he going to push here early to get by some of these contenders? Like, he knows he's going to be there at the end of the race if he can just stay there in the top 5. So how much is he going to push to go to the lead right now? How much does he want those bonus points? That is the biggest question. So the top 5, the same as they were before the race, except for Rich Foligno, who has now dropped back into 6th. And again, Rich, really a guy you're going to want to look out for tonight, because every time we go to these Indy Pro Oval races, he competes, he stays up front, he runs well, he often leads laps. But at the end, it's in that last 10-lap segment that everything seems to go wrong. I can't count how many times Rich has been wrecked out on the final lap of a race, including last year at Iowa, where he was so competitive. So is tonight the night? We will find out. But Rich kind of slotting in, trying to find some space there on the higher line, which early on seems to probably be the safer option for most of these drivers. The biggest mover of the race so far, we'll put it up there on the timing tower. But your current biggest gainer of the race is Mr. Michael Nickel, who currently sits in 6th, up from 11th at the start of the race. So 5 spots in only a couple laps. What a start it's been for him. And, well, we are not unfamiliar with seeing Michael do quite well here at the Ovals. Remember, in our very last oval race of the series, we ran at Indianapolis in the Formula Renaults, and he was the winner in that race, getting his first career win in the series. So don't be surprised if we see him back to the top of the leaderboard tonight at Iowa. I don't know why the graphic has doubled there on screen. Jack Hillier has gone off somewhere further back on track, sitting on the inside runoff road there on the exit of turn number 4. We're going to quickly go to the replay here, see what happened to Jack. This is the onboard from the number 44 car. Jack a little ways back at the time, running pretty well. Oh, just got a little bit light on the steering there coming off the corner. The kind of a little bit of a left shift the corner does. That's kind of slow cambered the left. Just didn't correct with it as he came around the corner and got into the wall. Now he comes down pit road to make some repairs. Whoa, huge wreck right as we go back live. David Lakey's upside down. Caution comes out almost immediately. And the 84 car, with some contact from Rich Foligno in the 99, finds itself looking upside down. Very quickly back to pit road there. David Lakey will now begin his quick repair cycle. Try to tow back to pit road, get that car fixed up in fairly quick succession, so he's only a couple laps down. But let's get a replay there for the first time tonight's race, presented by Canadian Mini Indy. Here is your full set racing replay. He just got absolutely pile driven. The camera didn't even try. That's not my system, ladies and gentlemen. That is the camera just giving up there from his car. So David Lakey. Okay, let's go back a little ways further here just to see what happened to Rich Foligno, because that was really where it all got started. So the entry down into the corner here. Let's go on board with the 99. So Rich Foligno down to the bottom there. He's probably going to slide up. Oh, he gets into the apron. That's the problem. Trying to go full lock. You see he's going as far left as he can to not make contact, but just slid up in front of him and not much you can do. And that's the way these corners are cambered. You know, it's going to push you up to the high side, try to get you into that outside wall. And if it happens to you from the inside lane and there's a car to your outside, well, suddenly you're putting that guy in the wall. It's a terrible luck early for David Lakey, who's been slowly, methodically moving up the championship points this season. He's had a really great year for himself. But unfortunately, that is not going to help his pursuits tonight, as Rich Foligno down pit road alongside Nick Nickerson, who's just leaving as we speak. So Rich Foligno, probably not a bad idea there to be just making sure he doesn't have any damage. I don't think he even would have taken a quick repair. Probably just a quick stop down pit road just to make sure that car is in as good a working condition as it possibly can be. So first caution tonight on the evening here on lap number 12. Your top 5 currently: Bedrosian, Anderson, Nichols, Salvatore, and Krobach. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you just joining us now, and what a race we should be in for tonight. One that I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, the All-Star race, always a big deal. We had to get some series, favorites, some All-Stars of the past back to run with us tonight, and hopefully they always enjoy stepping back in these cars and getting back in the series, getting back to the broadcasting, and yeah, just what a lineup we got tonight. 18 cars, the highest turnout we've had all season, and a really, really great group of drivers. Very quickly, we're going to go to your race details tonight for Iowa Speedway to give you a little bit of information as we wait for the pace cards, the lights to turn off so we can go back to green once everything is shaken out and these guys have come down pit road. But here are the conditions for tonight's race at Iowa. This track fairly new, opened in 2006, so it is younger than I am, which is rare to say about tracks, especially ones we run in this series. It is the official Iowa setup for these cars, so these cars will be tuned to handle exactly to the track, which means if anything they're going to be a little bit faster in the straights and a little bit harder to handle in the corners. It is sunset conditions here, so the sun has already gone down. It was sunset in practice, which means it's now pretty much dark as we get into the proper race, but it is a lit track. You see the stadium lighting on the outside, so a beautiful venue for tonight's race at Iowa Speedway. The conditions are pretty cloudy, so shouldn't play a huge role tonight as it is a night race. The track's already going to be pretty cold, but it is cloudy conditions nonetheless. The track length, to be exact, actually just less than a mile, so 7/8 of a mile. Very, very specific distance, 125 laps, a total of 109.3, so not a long race in terms of distance, but again, if we get cautions like we just did on lap number 12, then we are going to make that distance a little bit longer in terms of time, not so much actual race, distance. So the lights of the pace car still on. We got 2 laps to go, but quick caution laps here at the, of course, less than a mile Iowa Speedway. 4 turns, of course, like any oval. You see the shape there, pretty conventional. It is a symmetrical oval shape. And next week we go to a, one that I hope you guys are pretty excited for. I certainly am. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the only Canadian venue on the circuit. Nonetheless, we go to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the series finale this season, which is a possibility depending on what is picked by the race winner tonight. But I also just want to go to the chat first and foremost. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, everybody for joining in tonight. I want to see the chat get hyped tonight. I have plenty of people out here supporting some drivers, and Andrew Bedrosian's got some support there. Happy birthday to Keith Forsey. I always supporting the Paxes out there, and great to see him tonight. So happy birthday to you, Keith. And thank you, Hayden, for the kind words. David Lakey's got some support, and unfortunately not a great early start for him, but that is by no means because of talent. That was just bad luck and circumstance. So if he can get back on the lead lap, which we got some lucky dog passes, he can certainly do so. He will be back in the running, and then he can, see if he can work his way up to the front of the field like he spent most of the time in Indianapolis. What a great race for him just a couple weeks back, and hopefully he can follow that up tonight. But yeah, genuinely, everybody, I sincerely appreciate seeing these turnouts. The driver turnout tonight was already such a great thing to see, and always great to have you guys supporting the series in the chat and showing up. So anything you guys want to talk about, anything you want me to mention, anything you want to say that I can shout out a little bit later in the broadcast booth, I am more than happy to do so. There's my picture in front of virtual daytime Iowa Speedway. Of course, we are here at night, but there's the picture. Again, just camera stuff not working out as of right now, but we'll get it all set up for next week, and you'll see real Marshall for the first time in a while, not turtleneck thumbs up Marshall. But for the time being, we got racing to go to. Green flag for the first time on a restart in tonight's race. Andrew Bedrosian leads the field back to green, just in front of Trevor Anderson, the 2 championship rivals, both with wins on the season, just ahead of Michael and Tim, who also have wins this year. And then the oval master himself, Mr. Michael Krobach, Trevor Anderson. Big dive to the outside off of turn number 2, trying to use that momentum off the restart. Clearly has hot tires, maybe even hotter than Andrew Bedrosian. Look at the speed on the top side. The 25 car. Okay, we have a problem. Andrew Bedrosian, we see that internet connectivity trouble that he's already had earlier on in the series. Remember, it was at its worst at Mid-Ohio, kind of changed the outcome of that race in terms of that final battle with him and Nickerson, so hopefully gets that figured out, but it seems to have kind of cooled off for now. But more importantly, Trevor Anderson back to the front of the field. Trevor Anderson now in the lead position, so Trevor is a guy that likes to lead. We saw it at the very beginning of the season, way back at Phoenix. Wouldn't be surprised if we see it again tonight if he can just get in a rhythm and knock off some laps. But still, want to shout out the guy who was still the biggest mover of the race, currently sitting in third, Mr. Michael Nickel. That 23 car is looking quick early on, up 8 spots from 11th all the way up to third. So not a bad night if you're a fan of the 23 car, just ahead of Tim Salvatore and Michael Krobach. And Michael is such a fascinating entry. He's a guy that does a ton of oval racing in his own time, usually more so the stock car variety. But remember, the last time he made a one-off appearance in this series, last season at Gateway, he won that race in fairly commanding fashion. So would not be surprised by any means to see him do it again tonight. Going to go around the outside of Tim Salvatore. Luckily, Tim gave him the room, kind of anticipated that he was going to be there. So Michael goes around, no worries, and the 72 car now moves up into fourth. Tim Salvatore trying to fight back though, but he's going to need to slot in just ahead of Justin Lulick, a guy who really this season hasn't, I don't think, got his fair share in terms of race results, as James Donk has just gone off track, has had an incident. He's the entire back suspension, and including the back right tire assembly, ripped off that number 12 car. What happened to James Donk? Okay, so this is the earliest camera shot we have, so I'm going to assume he just made contact with that outside wall. No, okay, here's what it was. Rich Foligno, who remember already made contact there in that incident with David Lakey just a second ago. Again, not necessarily his fault, but okay, that was a miscommunication if I've ever seen one. Just one more time here, just to get a proper view of what happened. Andrew Bedrosian has now passed Trevor Anderson back for the lead as we go live in just a second, but okay, I wouldn't actually put that on so much on Rich, to be fair. James did come down pretty early there coming off that top line, so I would say that's more of a 50-50 thing, kind of a racing incident than definitively anybody's fault. And you know, when you see a guy get involved in 2 wrecks that early in a race, like Rich Foligno has, you would often assume it's his fault, but in the case of both wrecks, I think that was more so circumstance than much of a poor decision in any way. So James Donk, though, now just leaving the pit road, so he's got his quick repair set up. Wasn't a long tow back to the pits, and the number 12 will return to the track, now jumping into 18th position just behind David Lakey, who is still trying to recover some laps after that early wreck, but only 2 laps down. That is only 2, well, I guess 3 with Jack Hillier also a lap down, but 3 lucky dog passes. That is not unheard of by any means. But the racing continues here at Iowa. Such a fun start to this race so far. Everybody throughout the field seeming to get in a pretty good groove, as there is James Donk as we speak up on the top side. Could play an effect on somebody maybe going up to get the slipstream off of. Michael Nickel is doing just that, trying to go up high to get some draft, but no, Michael Krobach, the other Michael, jumps down the inside of him, takes over 3rd spot. So Michael Krobach, the oval master himself, is up into the podium spots just behind 2 series veterans in Bedrosian and Anderson, who continue to battle for that top spot. Great race early on tonight, already 26 laps through, so just past the 1/5 mark of tonight's race. Again, if we don't get too many cautions, could be a quick one, but we are hoping for more quality racing action rather than quicker quality racing action. So would not hurt to see this race go a little bit longer, but unfortunately just wasn't sure with the way everything would work out tonight. Currently sitting in 8th, Dan Skilton, the guy who, well, it was quite a race for him last week as well. We've been talking a lot about Tim Salvatore's first career win, but don't forget, Dan Skilton got his first career podium last week, scoring a 3rd at Homestead, Miami. So looking for the follow-up tonight. Dan's been quite apt so far this season at the ovals, and can definitely see him follow up that performance as he's had so far this year for yet another good points performance that will move him even further up. He's going to be knocking on the door of the top 10 in points soon, so tonight could add to that legacy for him, and he's going to go underneath David Paxton, going to go side by side through turn number 1 and 2. The 13 and the 53 battling it out, but David Paxton, the better run on the high side, should close down in front of him through 3 and 4. Further back in the field, 2 more guys who have still made up quite a bit of progress for themselves, and they're battling it out currently for 10th, I should say. Marshall Crocker Sr. and Tanner Dignard. Dignard down on the low side, Dignard. Tanner Dignard in the 51. Whoa, a slide job right in front of Marshall Crocker Sr., who crosses him over. Gonna try to get him back on the low side, the 15 car down to the bottom. Might clear, gonna be close. No, they stay side by side. Crocker has to back off, so Tanner Dignard now has the momentum and the position and should comfortably take over the 10th spot. But these 2 are the biggest movers from 10th on back, as Dignard is up 10 spots from 16th at the start of the race, and Crocker Sr. has moved up from 14th to 13th, I should say. 11th. Everything I just said was wrong. He's moved up 3 spots to 11th. Back to the front of the field, though. This battle is still continuing, and Andrew Bedrosian, you got to think, is going to get real sick of seeing that turquoise, kind of light blue 25 car. I'm not really sure what color that is, but whatever it is, the 25 car is right there on his back bumper, and now he's got a very familiar face right behind him. Michael Krobach teaming up to try to, I guess, get in the slipstream there on Trevor, maybe slingshot both of them past Andrew Bedrosian. Still going to that top side, really interesting. So he's getting a much better run off the corner, but in the short term, it's letting those guys run away a little bit, though not a bad idea. He's staying with them. You can even just see it there. So fascinating to see these different lines starting to shake out. Everybody else kind of going just, typical racing line, outside, inside, cut right to the yellow line, back to the outside on the straightaways. But no, Michael does not prescribe to that same theory. So very interesting tactic taken by a number of drivers tonight. And again, further back, Michael Nickel and Justin Lulick still rounding out your top 5. We are now past the 1/4 mark of tonight's race here at Iowa. Again, if we don't get any cautions, it's not going to be a long one. So guys going to need to start considering how many cautions this thing is going to get and whether they need to get a little bit more urgent even with just 90 laps to go. But 90 laps here goes by pretty quick. That's about a half hour in tonight's race distance, so guys may need to get a move on. But Trevor Anderson still making moves to the outside of Andrew Bedrosian, trying whatever he can to make up some ground. You see there, you can't even see Andrew from his perspective. He's so close alongside him. Andrew really pressured him up to the outside lane, not giving him any room to work with, but I think it's why Andrew has managed to keep on a hold on the lead so long throughout the start of this event tonight. And I really respect the way Trevor's driving, you know. Off of turn 2 that last time by, you saw he had momentum, maybe even an opportunity to jump underneath of Andrew into turn number 3, but he waited, backed off, went back to the high line, which is a little bit safer. And that's just the style of racing Trevor runs. You know, he's won races in the past by just picking tracks that are tough, just tough to run at, and just staying consistent, doing his thing, not pushing past his comfort zone, which is still quite fast. A comfortable Trevor Anderson line is still extremely quick, but he doesn't push himself any further than he needs to, and he just finds himself at the end of races and picks up points, and that's why he's been so good this season, and that's why he was a former series points leader. Looking back further in the field, we got a battle going on here side by side for 4th. Justin Lewick, who's been sat in that 5th position for quite a while now, trying to get away past Michael Nickel as he sits and waits here. Michael going to go up to that very high side as Justin keeps it quite a bit lower off of turn number 4. Off the wall, Michael goes a little bit closer, but Justin gets a better angle into the corner, and he hits the apex quite well. We're side by side again off of turn number 2, but Justin just, he's too low, and he's got to get back up in behind him, doesn't have time to slide up in front. David Pax has been making quite a bit of movement there further back in the field. A couple laps ago, I think he was back in 11th or 12th. Now he finds himself all the way up here in 6th. So David Pax, a guy who was very quick this week in the practice races, always puts in plenty of time in this series, and it is paying off for him so far. The 53 car, he may have fallen back 4 spots from the start of the race where he started 2nd, but he's since worked his way back and probably shows the most momentum of anybody really anywhere on track. Time to put up the track map as we keep an eye here on David Paxley, who might jump underneath of Justin Lewick, but there you go, there's your track map on your display, so that way you can see where all your favorite drivers currently sit on track. And just a reminder, the numbers on that track map represent their position on the timing tower, so look at the timing tower, find where your favorite driver is, and their color and current race position correspond to their spot on the track map. David Paxley, again, currently sitting there in 6th, dives low, doesn't find any daylight, so will again need to back off. Dan Skilton, right behind him, starting to make up a little bit of ground, so would not be surprised if this battle became a 3-way affair in just a moment. But back up front, this continues. The 5 and the 25, just it's been like this, I swear, for the last 20 laps. I haven't seen the gap between these two guys open up past anything longer than a 10th in about 20 laps. It's just been so much fun to watch these guys in this stint. Incredible how clean they're keeping it too. I mean, Andrew Bedrosian, he's a very, very smart driver, and he's definitely somebody, I think, as the season's gone on, has gotten a little bit more patient, you know, has started to kind of pull his punches a little bit. And Trevor's always been a very consistent, very clean driver, so both guys are really running well right now and running a very mature race. Michael Krobach just sitting in the catbird seat, waiting in behind, no doubt probably downshifting in the corners, using the slipstream on the straightaways, and then kind of backing off once he gets some momentum. So this battle now forms between David Paxton, Dan Skilton, and Justin Lewick. Down to the bottom goes Lewick. This is right behind Michael Nichols, so we'll go from the back of his car to watch this. Justin Lewick jumping up in front of Dan Skilton there off the exit of turn number 2. Paxa falling back a little bit. You got to wonder, is that a strategic thing, or was he just flat out hoodwinked by the two guys in front of him? Everybody slides up to the high side again off of turn number 4. David trying to get in the slipstream there on those two guys in front. Up front, you still see that battle between Bedrosian and Anderson. Now Trevor not even going to the high side, he's just slotting in behind him. I don't think it's a bad tactic whatsoever to just rattle some laps off and stay in a pretty good position, but he is much closer to that front two than any of the guys sitting in there behind him. Michael Nickel there off of turn number 4, now still in the 4th position, where he has been the last about 30, almost 35 laps as we get to the later stages of this, early half of the race. We're getting to the halfway point in just a moment. He is still sitting in that spot. What a consistent race it's been for the 23, and currently sitting 4th in points, and this is why he's a talented driver at both the road courses and the ovals, and just finds ways of picking up points each and every week. Tanner Dignard and David Paxa continuing to battle it out. Tanner kind of the last guy in this front train. If you look on the track map, there's a bit of a gap back after the driver of the number 51 of Tanner Dignard back to Tim Salvatore, who's 2 seconds back. Here the battle up front is picking up a little bit. Trevor Anderson finally starting to get some momentum on that high line. Here comes Michael Krobach in the bottom. Looked like he was thinking about going with Andrew, maybe jumping underneath him, but just using for a slipstream and then jump back up to the high side to go with Trevor Anderson. So Trevor might get him clear here through turn number 4, and he does. The 25 car now officially your race leader. What a race it's been so far for Trevor Anderson. Down the backstretch once again. Top 3 continuing to be separated by only a 1/10 of a second at most. And the question now becomes, when are guys going to start coming down pit road? From what I remember, the caution cycle is going to be somewhere around 80 laps. Sorry, the fuel cycle, somewhere in the ballpark of 80 laps. Definitely a pit stop is mandatory. The question is, how many laps will these guys wait before they take one? They could go with the earliest opportunity, which I would have thought would be just about right now, that they could pit and make it to the end, but they do so on very old tires. So this is the point where you got to start gambling on what's going to happen caution-wise. And we see Michael Krobach capitalizing on a bit of a mistake there from Andrew Bedrosian. He jumps underneath, and now Michael Krobach continues his charge up to the front, now sitting in second. And the Oval Master, we're seeing those skills coming back into effect. Those of you that have been with the series for a very long time, you're going to recognize that 72 car, and you're going to know just how terrifying he can be when he's comfortable with the track, which he clearly seems to be tonight at Iowa. And that pack of 3 up front is scooting away from everybody in behind. Dan Skilton getting the move done on Justin Lillick. Get a slide up in front of him. No, Justin doesn't manage to let Dan clear up top. So here comes the 55 car once again, going to get a better run off the corner, I'd imagine. And it depends which line Michael Nickel decides to slide into. He's going to give Justin the slipstream. So Justin might have a shot at the 5th spot as he comes around turn number 2. Here comes Tanner Dignard in the background trying to work his way through. Dignard just got by David Paxa, who again drops back another spot. I don't know if he just anticipates a wreck here any time now. He's just dropping back to avoid some chaos, but whatever it is, he's losing spots over the course of this run, something he did not do in this race here last season. Mitch Mora, we're going to go back to his perspective. Remember the guy that picked up his first career podium 2 weeks ago. He is sitting there right behind Tim Salvatore, and further up ahead, you see the pack that is sitting in, well, 4th all the way back to 8th. And you actually can't see from Mitch Mora's perspective that lead group. That's how quick those 3 guys have been. But everybody's starting to split up into mini packs. You can see on the track map here. And it is so tough as a driver once you're this far back without a caution to make all that ground up. You really got to work together. And by the looks of it, for whatever reason, Mitch Mora just isn't really getting the slipstream on Tim Salvatore. Or at least it's not powerful enough to shoot him by at quite the speed you'd probably expect otherwise. So keeping an eye on the 2 drivers 4 laps down at the moment, those being David Lakey and James Donk. Both guys unfortunately going to need to rely on some cautions that as of yet have yet to surface. So we are still green at the moment at Iowa Speedway, as we have been for the past roughly 50 laps. Jack Hillier only a single lap down. He would be your lucky dog beneficiary if we were to get a caution. Here's a fun battle. Marshall Crocker Sr. and Nick Nickerson here. The driver, the number 15, battling the current series points leader as of right this second, but that may change if Trevor and Andrew up front continue to outpace Nick by this margin that's currently at. But Nick is the beneficiary there of that move and moves up into the 11th spot, still trying to chase down Mitch Mora, who is within draft range, though going to be far enough ahead that Nick is going to need to make some pretty excellent cornering maneuvers in order to make up that gap. He can't do it all with the slipstream. Tanner Dignard now moving up throughout the field. The 51 car, remember, he was just ahead of David Paxton, now ahead of Dan Skilton, and trying to get by Michael Nickel here. This pack of 4 is grouping up a little bit. Off of turn number 4, you see up on the high side, Michael Nickel going side by side with Dignard. We're 3 wide down to turn number 1. Dan Skilton, nice move, and yellow flag comes out just as that move goes through. So might not even get the spot, will Dan Skilton, but we'll see who they credit that spot to. David Lakey has wrecked somewhere on track and brought out a yellow, but noticeably little damage there in that 84 car. So gonna go to your full send racing replay presented by CanadianMiniIndy.com. Whoa, okay. So Rich Foligno, once again, we're seeing involved in contact of some sort. And yeah, David Lakey, gotta think he's not going to be particularly happy with that one. We're going to go back to the replay one more time. What happened from Rich's perspective? That's what I want to know. Okay, that, yeah, again, just looks like kind of a miscommunication. Jump down low. I don't know if it was a block. I'm trying to, I always want to quantify and make sure I can confidently state what happened before I ever try to come to a conclusion. it's close. Like, it's a late move into the corner from Rich, but at the same time, it was a late block from David. So that was just lateness in every regard, as we just saw here at Iowa Speedway to bring out caution number 2. But here we go. Race down pit road, the first and possibly final pit stop of the race for most of these leaders. It should be, as you can comfortably make 65 laps on field. Tires will be old, but this is the battle we want to see. Trevor Anderson, of course, your race leader, coming to that caution, so he will have the first entry into that first pit box as the leader into the pits. So here we go, the 25 car on pit road. We will keep an eye on that pit lane camera as a nobody is going to stay out in this caution. Everybody down pit road. Here is the pit exit. Who's going to win it? Good run for Trevor. Good run for Michael. Trevor beats Michael out of the pit. So Trevor, Michael. Then it's Andrew, Justin, Michael, Nickel. Then it's Tanner Dignar, David Paxa, Dan Skilton, Tim Salvatore, Nick Nickerson, Mitch Morrow, Marshall Crocker Sr., Rich Folino, who probably just took a quick repair after that little bit of contact, Fred Zufelt, Logan Paxa, and there goes Jack Hillier, your final driver off pit road. What a race we've had so far. There were your big caution stops, and, well, Trevor Anderson, lucky guy, he's going to get a full free pit stop and remain the race leader thanks to that caution. Only 64 laps to go here to the finish. What a race it's been so far, ladies and gentlemen, at Iowa Speedway. We're going to jump away very quickly. When we get back, we'll tell you a little bit about our race sponsor, as always, CanadianMiniIndy.com. But for just a moment, we're going to go side by side here. We'll be right back in just a second with another round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series Season 2, round number 9 at Iowa, which also doubles as our all-star race. There you go, just did a little bit of a off-screen run-through of every driver in the top 13. So just a reminder of their liveries, what they look like, and where each driver is currently sitting. So there is your little through the field, just so you know where your favorite driver currently sits. And of course you can see it on the timing tower, but this is going to be a fun run to the finish. Only 62 more laps if you include the entirety of the final lap. So we just passed the halfway point, and Trevor Anderson in the 25 sits as your current race leader. I don't know why his portrait cuts off. Sometimes it sits properly in the little box next to his name. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why. I really don't. I would fix it if I knew, but very quickly. Okay, can't go to that graphic, I guess, because unfortunately my mic is not hooked up to that one. But very quickly, we want to thank all of our sponsors, those being, of course, Evan Wall Media, the guy that makes all of our graphics for this series. EvanWallMedia.com, as always, linked in the description for any iRacing paint schemes or things of that nature. Any graphic design work, go to EvanWallMedia.com. Thank you for making everything for this series, and we'll talk about CanadianMiniIndy.com in just a moment. But of course, the karting series that a number of these drivers in this series have come from, including myself. We'll talk to you more about them and everything they do from Hamilton, Ontario. But green flag here at Iowa Speedway, the third time tonight, second off a restart. And Trevor Anderson, just like Andrew Bedrosian did on both his restarts, getting a great jump on the very first lap. Further back, I thought I saw Justin Lewick and maybe even Tanner Dignar getting the wall. Tanner off the pace, so good possibility that's what happened to him. Currently no yellow, but we see a couple guys swapping spots around on track. David Paxa now slotting in behind Tanner Dignard in the 51. Rich Foligno coming down pit road. What has happened to Rich? I don't see no major damage for the 99 car. I'm wondering if it would be a forced penalty due to accumulated incident points. That's a very good possibility because he's had contact now with a couple drivers, and once you get to 15 incident points throughout the race, that's when you get an automatic pit penalty. So I think that's what's happened, and if it is, it's another in the long lineage of an unfortunate Rich. Just those nights where just nothing seems to work. The pace is definitely there, but things just kind of fall apart, and he's only one lap down. He's currently still the lucky dog driver, so if we get a caution, he's back in it. He's by no means out of it. He's on fresh tires like everybody else, so don't count Rich Foligno out by any means, but it's really unfortunate to see that 99 car again having struggles throughout the race that many other drivers just never seem to have here at the ovals. He does need to catch up, though, to Jack Hillier, who currently sits as the lucky dog driver there in 15th, who just passed Rich Foligno and is actually scooting away a little bit, so fair bit of pace here for the driver of the number 44, Jack Hillier, a guy that's been in the broadcast booth a number of times this season. Remember last time we were at an oval, he had a great run there in Indianapolis, and again, I don't know why his portrait cuts off either. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It does not make any sense to me. Further up in the field, Trevor Anderson. I don't know what gear he's clicked into, but he is up 8 tenths on Andrew Bedrosian. He kind of got a great jump there on the restart and just never looked back. He is driving away there. In the 25 car, we're going to go on board with Trevor for just a lap here. That's not on board. That's on board. Going to go around here with Trevor Anderson just to kind of see the line he's taking, make sure he's doing everything traditional that you would usually expect from a driver like Trevor, who definitely knows what they're doing here at the ovals. They're running right to the wall. Going to cut from the high line down to the low side. Going to hit the apex, get as close to the yellow line as he can. He's running seamlessly. He's looking great up front. Andrew's starting to make up a little bit of time there now within only 7 tenths, but further back, Michael Nickel, Tanner Dignard, Nick Nickerson, Dan Skilton, kind of a four-way battle. 5 if you include David Paxa, who sits just in front of them, up in 5th. But this pack, as you can see on the track map, falling back of the top 3. Justin Lulick leads at the front of this group, but Nick Nickerson, had to low it up there in the background to not get into Tanner Dignard. He came exceedingly close to making contact there, but manages to stay out of it. Nick Nickerson there from the top line, again, avoiding contact. Tanner just kind of slowing up in front of the corner entries, but it means he can nail it off the exit, whereas Nick carries a lot more speed in on entry. And now it's going to pay off. He's going to get to the high side of Tanner Dignard. Just got to hope that Michael Nickel doesn't hold him up there on the top side. He kind of does. Michael slid up in front of him a little bit, but as they come through, should be okay. Nick Nickerson is a guy that you definitely got to watch for in the later stages of this race. He knows what it's like to play the long game, to just be there at the end of the race on a restart. And he's always been a great restarting driver, especially from further back in the field, though. He's done plenty of restarts in many series as the leader, so I think he's pretty apt as the lead driver on a restart as well. But what a battle we're seeing. Everybody's jumping around here. We're going to go to the wide shot just so you can see how many cars have funneled into this section of the track. This battle for, I guess, essentially 4th. Currently occupied by David Paxa, but that battle for the top 3 is getting close too. Now 6 tenths separating the top 3 from Anderson, Bedrosian, and Krobach, and then a 2-second gap back to these guys being Paxa, Lulick, Nickerson. Nickerson down to the bottom into turn number 3. He's going to move up into the top 5 for, I believe, the first time in this race since qualifying. Down to the inside on Justin Lulick. Doesn't get the move done. Justin, more speed on the top side and going to get underneath. Logan Paxa, here he comes. Don't forget about the 3-time series champion, the guy who's never been beaten in a full-time season he's run in this series. And he's getting involved a little bit. I think he scared the heck out of Tanner Dignard there for a moment, jumping in front of him in the high lane, but gets back in low, and Logan Paxa very quietly moving his way through the field, now up to 8th. But again, with that front pack kind of scooting away, if he wants to go for the win tonight, he's going to need to do a little bit more than just get through this pack. He's going to need to find a way to work with somebody to get up to these guys. This top 3 has been dominant tonight. Anderson, Bedrosian, Krobach, 2 guys battling for the championship, and a guy who's battled for so many oval wins in this series before. Now we come to about 47 laps to go. We are getting to the end here, folks. That's about 15 laps if we go, 15 minutes if we go green to the finish. So time running out here. They're going to need a caution if they're that second pack. And the question is, who wants to be in the most favorable position if we get that caution? And the best way to do that is to be in 4th. So this battle almost becomes like a battle for the lead, essentially, in any other race. Logan Paxa there alongside Michael Nickel. Lulick alongside Nickerson. David Paxa still leading the second group. Down to the bottom, though, goes Justin Lulick. Up on the high side, it is still Nick Nickerson that is working with David Paxa. Gonna look from the perspective of Logan Pax's car as we come through turn number 4. So you're gonna go close to the high side, stays off the wall. Justin's gonna slot back in front, so whoa, here comes Logan. Here comes Logan Paxa. Paxa and Lulick have both been in the series for 4 seasons. They are both veterans of series I have hosted, so these guys have raced each other a number of times. Most notably, if I remember back to Spa-Francorchamps, I believe more of the old Snowstorm Series seasons. They had a fun little battle, if I remember correctly, but what a little scrap they're having right here. Logan up to the high side, that I think seems more dominant. Yeah, he's getting the slipstream from the 2 guys in front, so Justin has to settle in behind and gonna try to work his way back through from the 6th position. Back up to the front, though, keeping an eye on this battle at all times, and I'd imagine so is Trevor Anderson. Just what a race it's been for him so far. Hasn't faltered under the pressure once. He's had these 2 very talented drivers running behind him for, well, again, easily the last 50 laps at this point. Trevor Anderson has just been dominant. He's going to have the most laps led bonus if he continues at this pace. And again, in a championship battle, that would not be a bad thing to have, especially when your championship rival, Andrew Bedrosian, took the 3 bonus points away for the pole tonight. Whoa, Andrew's getting close there on the back bumper of the number 25. These 2 guys settling into a bit of a rhythm here, or at least they have the last little while. The question is how long is that rhythm going to sustain itself? Because there we go. Andrew is tired of sitting in second, back on the offense. Down to the bottom there, won't get the run off the corner. That'll go to Trevor Anderson on the high line. And now Michael Krobach is the guy in a very interesting position. Who does he go with as he watches this battle up front? We're going to watch from his perspective as Andrew, again, down to the inside. Up on the high side is Anderson. We're side by side off a 2. Into 3, the better angle should go to Anderson, but Bedrosian gets the apex a little closer. If he can slot in front, we have a new leader, but he doesn't. Anderson continues on the high side. We're still side by side as we cross the line, but I think Bedrosian would have taken it that time by. Despite all this battling we're seeing up here in this portion of the track, the guys in behind just are not making up ground as we jump further back. There's still a fun battle happening. Actually, if you're a Paxa fan, this is one you want to watch. Battle between father and son. David Paxa, now a 2-season veteran of the series. Logan Paxa running 3 full-time seasons in the past. The 2 Pax is going to battle it out for 4th here. Again, I talked about kind of that second lead. The lead of this second pack, if we get a caution, the guy that would be in the 4th spot on the restart. Logan is currently jumping in front of his old man just to do just that. Are we going to see the 16 and the 53 team up, or is this purely an aggressive, fun battle to the finish? That is going to be the question, but whatever it was, Logan aced the exit off of that corner. That 16 car. As I know it's done in a variety of other series, as I know Logan's involved in a lot of esports competitions throughout racing. He is an extremely talented driver that is talented enough that, like a couple other drivers in this series, he can have ventures outside of racing of this series that are very successful, and I think almost anybody in this series could, to be fair. But Logan Paxa, he is looking quick there, and he's actually breaking away by a couple car lengths. We never see this in this pack, that guys are able to make up that much ground on other drivers, that they fully get ahead and can kind of start to pull away with the lead. But Logan clearly has the line nailed down enough that maybe he can kind of drag that second pack back up to the front. But more importantly here, as you can see, Andrew Bedrosian has got by Trevor Anderson for the lead. So coming to 35 laps to go, Andrew's now going to become the guy with the most enviable spot on the racetrack. Going to go on defense rather than the offense. As we see Tanner Dignard coming down pit road. Not sure if that's due to an accumulation of penalty points or just didn't take fuel on that earlier stop. Whatever it is, he's just leaving pit road now. Going to drop back into the 16th spot, just behind Jack Hillier. Important to mention, Rich Foligno did get by Jack Hillier later on in this stint, so he is back to being your lucky dog driver whenever and if ever we get a caution. Back up to the front. Tanner Dignard just leaving pit road now, going to go up to the high side. Hopefully going to let these guys on the in behind go by. No, he's not. He's going to hold up Andrew Bedrosian a little bit. Andrew has to correct and can't go to the top line, has to stick to the bottom. That gives the 25 a better run off of 4. Can he slide up in front? That is the question. Trevor might get stuck. This is going to get dicey. Where does Tanner want to go? He's going to sit right in front. He's just going to kind of work himself into this pack. So Andrew does get by, going to go by underneath. I don't think it'll actually change the order so much, but Trevor Anderson trying to get the slipstream. We're 3 wide with a lap car heading to turn number 1. Michael Krobach continues to wait in the catbird seat. He has been just chilling in the background for what feels like ages, almost 60 laps at this point. He knows where he wants to sit, and he is going to stay there. And important to mention, that second pack led by Logan and David. You got to think there's some teamwork going on there. Actually now led by Logan and Nick. I don't know if it's just Logan's pace, but he is catching that group in front. A gap that was originally 2.8 seconds when Logan took over 4th is now down to 2 seconds flat. That, I don't know how Logan does it, but that 16 car, just as quick as it was back in the old seasons of the Carts and Computers series. Look at the ground he's making up. Like he's, again, back to 2 seconds flat of Michael. He's making up ground on Tanner Dignard. If he can get a slipstream off of Dignard, that would be huge. And I think it would kind of bridge the gap between these two groups, because you see Nick here, he's still in the draft on Logan. You go back to David Paxa, he's still in the draft on Nick. Right behind him is Justin Lilick, who actually may go for a dive down into turn number 1 here to try to get up into 6th. But then Dan Skilton's in that group, Michael Nichols there, Tim Salvatore's there. It's kind of like a ladder effect. If one guy can catch this front pack, everybody will start packing up. And that could become a very interesting note later in this stint if we don't get a caution, which with only 30 laps to go, maybe a possibility that we don't. But again, Trevor Anderson lost his lead a couple laps back, and he's trying desperately to find a way back up there. He's getting to the outside of Andrew, but still no daylight for the number 25 as of yet. That is Andrew's perspective. Here is Trevor. He's getting close, but the problem is, even if he gets this high line to work, he gets the better runs off the corner. The straightaway is just so short here at Iowa. He doesn't have the time to use that pace advantage off the exit to get by Andrew before the start-finish line. So, Andrew, as long as he can keep that line, if we do this for 30 more laps, Andrew's going to have the advantage. So, Petrosian looking for win number 4 on the season, looking to get back into the points lead. But Trevor Anderson, of course, his championship rival. The further away Andrew gets in that point gap, 3 races to go after tonight, I don't know if he would have enough time to make up that gap. So this is a big night for Trevor if he wants to complete the attempt at a championship this season. The other interesting possibility, and I never want to speak this into existence, but if these two guys wreck, that would make things a whole lot more interesting. The top 2 in the championship, suddenly Nick Nickerson, who's back in 5th, may become the guy in the most favorable spot. And we've certainly seen competitive guys like this in the past who have gotten together, and suddenly the entire championship outcome of this race could be changed as it has in the past. Logan Paxa, the gap is almost gone. Which is the laps put in by the 16 car these last 4 laps have been incredible. Just ran the fastest lap of the race, which we'll actually put up on screen right now. There's the best time for every driver you're going to see there on the left-hand side, and the fastest lap of the race run by Logan Paxa at 21.347. That 16 car has pace for days. And he's there. He's back within 5/10. The 16 car is back in the fight for the race lead out of nowhere. And he's a full second clear of Nick Nickerson. Logan is a truly absurd talent. And I know it's been a while. Those of you that may have just joined the season this year who don't know Logan Paxa, you're getting an introduction to him by some of the greatest racing you'll see in any series. Incredible to do that without the slipstream, except at the end there from Tanner Dignard to get back in this pack. And he is gonna fight here. I am so excited to see if he just goes straight on the attack here. Really interesting angle he's taking through the corner, going right to the apex, but you heard the downshift there as he came onto the entry. So clearly Logan knows something we don't know. Look at the way he backs off. You can hear the throttle. We're gonna go on board with Logan again. Watch him on the corner entry, and this could also be a corner where he goes for the move on Michael Krobach too. So it's fat. I don't know what he's doing, but it is working. Holy cow, and here he goes. The top 4 are now, you can throw a blanket over the battle for the lead here. Only 23 laps to go right now. 22 when he crossed the line this time by. Andrew's internet troubles are coming back. That could get bothersome as this race goes on. Yeah, it's getting worse for him. So whatever's going on, every time the computer starts, it's just that it can't keep up with the positioning of the 5 car. Andrew's got to, he's got to drop out. That car is stuttering something serious. We got to keep an eye on that, because if that gets worse, we don't have a race director tonight. We may have to take action on behalf of the other drivers, but Trevor Anderson does move up to the top spot. So the internet issues for Andrew, you got to think just as bad. His frame rate's got to be dropping as a result. Maybe that little bit of stuttering is what it took to get Trevor back up to the lead, as we see Logan Paxa in behind again. He is in this battle, and Michael Krobach may want to get a move on now, because we've come to 20 laps to go. If he waits too much longer, he's not going to have to worry about the 2 guys in front. He's going to have to worry about the 16 car in behind. Yeah, there goes Michael. No more waiting around for him. Down to the inside goes the 72 car. We're side by side, the 72 and the 5. Petrosian and Krobach. Very good good allies in the past in this series. They've worked together before, but you got to think that is not Michael's priority right now. He wants the win. He wants to go 2 for 2 all time and one-off appearances in this series, and he can do so with a good finish tonight. I'm trying to tell who that car is that's a lap down right now, sitting in front of the leaders. Not Hillier, It's not Lakey. I think it might be James Donk. If I'm not mistaken, it is. So James Donk here in the number 12 car, currently sitting in the final spot on the grid, or on the overall racing order, but he's had a couple of different complications tonight that unfortunately have made that the case. So he is. We'll see if he gets out of the. See if he gets out of the way of the leaders here. He is. He's going to let Trevor Anderson by on the high side, actually. So normally would have thought you'd go to the top there, but actually seemed to work out. Nobody had too many problems getting by. So there we go. We're getting to the end here. Trevor Anderson with only 18 laps to go. What a resurgent drive this would be for him in the championship standings if he's able to cap it off. Now just an hour into the broadcast, we're already getting to the very end. What an impressive race this has been in terms of green flag laps. If you were any driver in the field, I never would have guessed this is the sort of race we'd see, especially not at such a competitive short track like Iowa. Justin trying to get any spot he possibly can, battling with Dan Skilton there for the 7th position. But up front, that gap staying pretty solid as we continue to tick off the laps here at Iowa, and only 15 to go. That is only 5 minutes if we go green to the end. So Andrew, the clock is ticking for him. Michael's there, Logan's there. I'm wondering if just the tires have gone away, because all that momentum we saw from Logan on his way up to this front pack is just stalled out. So I don't know if it really was just a scenario of with the draft, with some fresher tires that he hasn't been using to battle with these guys, maybe just was more beneficial to him, or he's backing off and he's going to let those guys up front do their thing. He's not a full-time driver, but I don't feel like Logan's the kind of guy that if he's going to run the race, isn't going to give it his absolute all. Looking at this battle here for 5th between Nick Nickerson and David Paxa. That'll round off your top 5 if we again go green to the end, because right now this seems like the really the battle we need to watch in terms of any substantial points being handed out, because we got 2 part-timers, 2 full-time guys battling for the championship. This could be huge. The way we're going to call it in terms of points is the part-timers will score points like usual. So, you definitely, as a guy battling for the championship here, want to stay ahead of as many of these, temporary cars as you can. These guys making one-off appearances. So, Michael Krobach getting by Andrew Bedrosian as he just did. That is big for the driver of the number 5. And Andrew Bedrosian, who, again, continues to be having internet issues. I'm not even going to stay on his camera because I think it's going to glitch out for him. Well, I think those internet troubles are probably affecting him on his end. Probably messing with his frame rate. Probably messing with his approach to the corners. It's so fascinating what Logan is doing. Again, I can't figure it out genuinely as we come to the ending portions of this race. He's still doing it, so clearly it's still beneficial in his mind, whatever he's trying, but just backing right off, stepping out of the throttle, getting off the gearing, putting it back in the 6 through the corners. It's really interesting, and he's making it work. He's still sitting right there in 4th. His championship adversary from last season of the Snowstorm Series, these two fought to the bitter end. Logan coming out on top in that season-long battle, but now he has the opportunity to take a couple valuable points away from Andrew Bedrosian in his quest to become the first series champion in history, aside from Logan Paxa. And what a way to cap off the season for Andrew in regards to facing Logan. If he's able to beat him here, to kind of cement himself, if indeed he does go on to be the first series champion since Logan, well, to beat him in his final race against him this season may not be a bad achievement. But the way Logan's been driving this race so far, no matter where he finishes, it has been an outstanding performance that needs to be respected. Coming to the ending portions of this race, looking back further, side by side go David Paxa and Justin Lewick. This battle for 6th has been for quite a while. Justin Lewick has often had internet issues in the past, or not internet issues, more so hardware issues, but his VR has been messy in the past, but tonight it seems to be working for him, and again, I don't want to jinx it, but with 10 laps to go, not a ton of time, actually not even 8 laps to go, so not a ton of time for it to fail for him tonight, but unfortunately I would not be surprised if it did. So back up to the front as the leader is going to go by on the high side of Jack Hillier. Who is it going to be? Trevor Anderson looking for his 2nd win of the season to take just to put himself back in the hunt for the championship, staying just ahead of the Oval Master, Michael Krobach. Now 6 laps to go. Michael Krobach, a man who has won so many Oval races and series I've hosted, the most of anybody in series history. He has done it before. He won his only one-off appearance in this series last season at Gateway. He's trying to make it 2 for 2 in that 72 car. But as long as Trevor can just keep his line, keep using the dirty air on Michael to his advantage, he can bring it home. And these two guys are starting to break away. Further back, Logan and Andrew are starting to swap spots. Logan just got him a moment ago. The 16 car and the 5 getting into it a little bit, and they're falling back now a full second back of your race leader Trevor Anderson. They're going to lose the slipstream. This is going to become the battle for 3rd and nothing more, but Logan comfortably ahead. let's get a quick replay there as we come to the very end of this race. Here's the pass from Logan on Andrew. We're going to speed it up a little bit. Okay, where was the... Okay, so there was a pass that hasn't been a pass yet. I don't know if it was just because of his internet complications, whatever it was. Here's the pass we're looking for. Here's the move. Andrew getting a little bit slow off of turn number 3, or sorry, turn number 2, maybe getting into the wall a little bit, or having to check up to avoid doing so. Logan took advantage. Simple as that. Speaking of Logan Paxa, just once again ran the fastest lap of the race. Tim Salvatore has gone off track somewhere. Caution comes out with only 3 laps to go. That is huge. Tim Salvatore missing a front right wheel. Not the night he was hoping for after what was a crazy long green flag stint in which he just fell into a rhythm, sat in about 9th, and didn't really have any way to get any further up the order than that. So Tim Salvatore now on pit road, and he is going to bring out a very crucial 3rd caution of the race. Huh. Okay, that was... Looks like pretty standard, just kind of understeer coming off of turn number 2. In the outside wall. Yeah, I mean, really nothing he was going to do there. You see he just kind of steps off it. Actually, I don't know if that was a hardware thing, actually, because his wheel goes perfectly stiff, and that's not something you traditionally expect to see in the sim. You know, the steering columns don't break. This is fascinating. Okay, I thought Michael was jumping down pit road. It said on my telemetry he was just faking out the guys behind him. That was going to be really interesting, but there you go. Tim Salvatore washing up in the final turn, or the second turn, I should say, and bringing out the caution. So, oh man, what a run we're going to have to the finish. Can Trevor hold off Michael on very old tires for both drivers that are going to be very cold in only a 2-lap stint? They're not going to be up to temp, so I think advantage has to go to your race leader there, as Rich Foligno does get the wave around finally. So, don't know if he's going to have enough time to do all too much with it, but has the option, I think, to pit under caution if he wants to, now that he's been given the pass by. So, maybe Rich can get a couple more spots for himself, but that's going to give us 13 drivers on the lead lap as we come to the final laps of this race. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I go to you guys in the chat. Only a couple more laps to go, 2 to be exact. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you expect? And give me some predictions there in the comments. Your favorite driver, where are they? How do you think they're going to finish? Who do you think's winning tonight's race? Do you think it's going to be the Oval Master, Michael Krobach, the man who has not often had to win from the 2nd position this late in a race? Usually he's up there in the number 1 spot at this point in the event, but he's had to fight back quite a ways. So the fact that he's even up there in 2nd, extremely impressive for the 72 car. Again, making his one-off appearance tonight for the All-Star race, making his return. And what an All-Star race it's been. Both him and Logan Paxa have been putting on a show, and those are the 2 big names tonight that we needed to have back in the series, even if just for one more race this year, because they're guys that are super important to the championship. Hopefully in a future season we can get both guys back potentially full-time, but I know it's quite a time commitment, and they are both very busy in other series. So what a joy it's been to have him back tonight, and Logan Paxa in the 3rd spot. Don't forget about him. We saw the pace he had a couple laps before. I think his strategy is taking with that like lift and coast into the corner from the high line, cutting right down to the apex. It's going to be quick on cold tires, I'd imagine. So would not be surprised to see Logan Paxa maybe get 1 more spot. 2 would be hard. 2 spots and 2 laps here on the final restart here at Iowa would surprise me. Would absolutely surprise me. But it is Logan Paxa. If we've learned anything in the past, it's you never count the driver of the 16 out. We're going to go to 2 laps to go here under caution before we go back to green. Very quickly before we get to the end, and I'll take the opportunity just because we got a couple laps. Didn't get a chance to properly shout them out before, so I want to thank our, as always, race sponsor for, the series, in the sense that not only do they sponsor a couple segments on the broadcast, but they also get the word out on social media for the series and post the link to those of you. Hey, shout out in the chat as well if you're here through the CanadianMiniIndy.com postings. Hopefully you guys are involved in the kart racing local community, as so many of the drivers in this series are. But CanadianMiniIndy.com, it's hard to put into words what the Canadian Mini Indy is, because it really is so many things. But for drivers like me, for drivers like formerly Michael Krobach, a guy I raced with for a number of years, Scott in the chat, my father, Marshall Crocker Sr., the Rookie Series has been a constant home for racing for a very long time. For a lot of guys that just can't make that monetary commitment to a higher level of racing, it's still such a competitive series, one that I've been happy to call home for a number of years. Had some great battles with particularly Scott there in the chat. We've We've gone back and forth for quite a number of seasons now, but genuinely, if you are just looking to get into racing in any capacity, you've watched racing like this on the broadcast and thought, well, I'd love to do that, but I'd love to experience speed for real. Such a great way to do so. In my opinion, pretty fairly priced for what you get for the great racing you can experience. Of course, you can race for the entire championship over the course of the year, as I have for now 11 seasons. And Hamilton, Ontario, Canada is the place to do it. Again, this series based in the Ontario, Canada area. So for anybody supporting an American driver, might not be in the area, but if you live in Ontario, you haven't tried racing yet, that is the place to go, and there's always potential to move up. Guys like the David Paxes, who supports Logan Paxa, who runs in higher levels of karting. Rich Foligno runs in that level. Dan Skilton's been running in karting for ages. Justin Lulick. The list goes on. That is where you get your start, and there is always more upward movement you can make to make your racing career special. So CanadianMiniDindy.com, thank you for everything you do to support the series. But green flag, 2 laps to go in the All-Star race at Iowa Speedway. Third place is about to be a battle that is between 2 absolute titans of the series. Andrew Bedrosian down the inside of Paxa. Nickerson trying to go with him to capitalize on points. Trying not to let his championship rival slip too far away. Nick gonna get by Logan here. Logan just dropping back. I don't know what the plan is for him, but white flag this time by. There will be no caution. Next flag ends the race. Michael getting close there into turn number 2. The slipstream playing the perfect effect. Did he get the tires warmed up quick enough? He's got 2 more corners to go. One more try for Michael. Can Andrew get Michael Krobach through 3 and 4? Trevor Anderson, an almost flawless race. He's going to win his second of the year and gets to pick the finale track. Trevor Anderson, driver of the number 55, wins the All-Star race at Iowa Speedway in a fashion that is very different to last season's race at Iowa. Led from the middle of the race to the finish. Stellar drive, no doubter there. Trevor Anderson, your race winner at Iowa Speedway. Second oval win of the year, 3rd all-time in the series. What a drive from Trevor Anderson. Congratulations to the driver that, has really just kicked it up to a different gear this season. You know, what a year he has had. And as a result, the championship battle gets that little bit closer. Where's the race winner graphic? Let's get it up for him. Race winner tonight, Mr. Trevor Anderson. Congratulations. He is going to do some celebrating, I'd imagine. He's usually a pretty subdued guy here on the broadcast. Doesn't usually get into too much shenanigans post-race, but you got to think he's going to do a little bit of celebrating because that was a stressful race. You got to think from Trevor's perspective there, just defending from start to finish. What a finish. Yeah, Trevor Anderson, congratulations. Take a bow. There we go. Finally going to get up to the start-finish line. Let's see if we get some burnouts, we've seen a lot of like rolling burnouts, some like those straightforward spin the tire style burnouts this season. I think Andrew's done a couple of them. Might just park it on the line. Gonna be ultra humble. Look at that. Trevor Anderson not waiting around. Michael Krobach already off track, but there's Andrew Bedrosian finishing 3rd alongside of him. But your race winner tonight, Mr. Trevor Anderson, is 2nd of the season. Congratulations. And now it is time to go over your final results before we get to your interview with Trevor. And that is going to be a very important interview because it's the interview where we find out what our venue is for the finale of the 2nd season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. Remember, the All-Star race winner picks the destination for the finale. But Trevor Anderson, tonight's race winner at Iowa Speedway. What a run from him tonight. Again, took the lead on about lap 30. From then on, it was him and Andrew back and forth, and in the end, he manages to hold off Andrew in the hard-charging Michael Krobach to take home the win tonight at Iowa. 2nd place, Michael Krobach. Oh, we've lost Trevor. Okay, he's jumped off track, so... Oh, no, he's back. No, never mind. We're good now. But we'll stay with this scenic camera for the rest of the final results. That is Michael Krobach finishing in 2nd. Thank you, Michael, for making your return tonight for the All-Star race. That was a spirited performance late. Definitely kept us on our toes. It was close there on those final couple corners, but unfortunately couldn't get it to work in the end. He'll have to settle for 2nd. Andrew Bedrosian, your 2nd place out of the actual drivers that are going to run for points, as well as the drivers battling for the championship. The championship contenders finished top 3 if you don't include Michael Krobach there up front. So what a battle that was to watch. Andrew Bedrosian comes home in 3rd. Nick Nickerson in 4th. That is going to be crucial for Nick. He should hold on to the championship lead by a slim margin, but it is getting ever closer week after week. David Paxa, another good run for the 53 car. He's going to come home for another top 5 this season. Justin Lulick finishing in the 6th spot. Finally, no VR issues for him tonight, and as a result, he looks pretty quick all the way through. He comes home in 6th. Dan Skilton after that in 7th Michael Nickel in the 23 car in 8th. Marshall Crocker finishes in 15, or the 15 car in 9th. Fred Zufelt rounds off the top 10 there in 10th. Mitch Morrow in 11th. Rich Foligno was quick early on, especially in qualifying, but just never seemed to get going. Unfortunately, a couple of contacts with a couple guys, maybe some big blocks, meant that he was unfortunate enough to have to settle for 12th tonight, just ahead of Logan Paxley, who I think on the last lap just dropped back, didn't want to take points away from anybody, just kind of dropped out of the running. Was unfortunate to see, but it was going to be tough from him to anyway to make it up past the race leaders and go for the win. So respectable. I understand what he did, and it's always a pleasure to have Logan back. Thank you for making your return tonight to one of my series and joining in on the Snowstorm fun. Then we got Tanner Dignard finishing in 14th. Jack Hillier comes home in 15th. Tim Salvatore in 16th. David Lakey in 17th. And rounding off tonight's field, driver the number 12, Mr. James Donk. So every driver finishing the race within 8 laps of your race leader, Mr. Trevor Anderson. So certainly a pretty close night as far as final results are considered. So good to see everybody kind of kept it in there at the end. And if we got a couple more cautions, I think a lot of guys that were early in competition tonight probably could have been. But with that, there we go. We are ready for tonight's interview, first of which being with 3rd place finisher tonight, and again, 2nd place out of the championship contenders, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. Let's just get his information up in just a quick sec. Just got to get his graphic up, and there we go. So we are ready to go to your first interview of the night with 3rd place finisher from Marblehead, Massachusetts, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. Hey, Andrew, Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, Andrew. Well, what a night for you tonight. You were, from start to finish, Andrew, you were seconds away, milliseconds at times from taking the lead. You'd take it, Trevor would be right there, and you'd swap back and forth. You guys had some great battling tonight, but at the end, it looked like the two guys in front of you just had that little bit more momentum. Just talk us through the later portions of that race. You know, were you expecting that final caution? Then when you got it, was it just a case of tires that meant that you couldn't quite get over that last hump?
I mean, around like the last portions of the race, I mean, I know I was having internet connection, and you know, I try to be fair about it. Let whoever was racing for points to you know, pass me. Then it started back up again, working. So tried to chase him down. Just, I mean, overall, I mean, this track is nowhere close to how it felt last year. But yeah, it's just very difficult to you know, run at the bottom like Trevor, like run by side, me at the bottom. It's just difficult for the tires to take it, and you know, just didn't have enough tire life at the very end, and I think I was, yeah, just not lucky enough. But you know, finished ahead of Nick, which was the big picture plan. So yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be crucial for you. You know, getting the win there over Nick is going to help you in the championship points. I don't think you're going to quite pass him in the overall points. Next week, I'm going to start incorporating the drop race just in the final couple races just to keep that in context. And I think once we incorporate that in, I think you actually are the points leader by a slim margin. But you guys have been battling it out all season. You've been really close from the start. But tonight, Trevor got the better of you by a little bit tonight. He was just so consistent there from the lead. And then Nick in behind you was trying to battle his way back through late. So talk about your 2 championship contenders, because Trevor just seems to have the consistency here. He did it at Phoenix. He did it tonight. He gets in the lead, and he's a great defensive driver, whereas Nick, always quick, but things just seem to kind of unravel for him at the beginning of the race. He's always fighting back. So kind of talk a little bit about what you've noticed that kind of differentiates your 2 championship rivals and who you're really looking out for with 3 races to go.
Yeah, I mean, not to say Trevor is not a contender. He definitely is. He has been this since last season. I mean, I always have my eye on Trevor. He definitely is a very consistent driver. That's one of his strengths. If he got as much speed as Logan or I, like, I think he would definitely kick everybody's butt. But Nick is definitely the person I'm looking out for. He's quick. He beat me in qualifying last week, so yeah, it's just Nick's very very quick. Overall, I know he's very fast in the other NASCAR league, but these ovals are where I know his weakness are, so that's where I'm trying to hit my points. But yeah, they're both very good competitors. So
extremely, the top three of you guys are incredibly talented. It's why this is going to be such a fun run to the finish, because I think it's three very different tracks that'll really test you guys. Of course, one more oval there in the Formula Renault Auto Club, and then Mosport next week, and whatever Trevor chooses for the finale track, we'll find out in just a couple minutes. But that's where I go to you, Andrew, is your final question. Of the three options, Spa-Francorchamps, Laguna Seca, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which do you have the most experience at? Which are you the most, do you think plays into your skills best? Which one are you hoping Trevor picks in a couple minutes?
Yeah, I mean, they're all very great tracks. Spa, I've always been quick, but not quick enough at through the road course, like the turning parts of Spa. I'm very quick, but just could never find speed there for the last couple of years we've been there. Laguna Seca is really fun. I've contended for the win 2 years running, so Canadian GP, man, that's I would have picked that one too. Like, it's different. We have never been to that track, but lots of places to make mistakes, and there's also the Wall of Champions, which is a really, really fun turn there to try to go as fast as possible through the final chicane. So but yeah, I'd rather go with the Canadian GP.
Awesome. Well, we'll see what we get from Trevor. We'll see if you get your wish, and I'm really curious. I don't know what Trevor has the most ability at. Like, he's been in the series a couple of years, so he would have run Laguna, would have run Spa. Maybe he's going to want to pick a track that guys have less experience at, but we'll find out. So I'm sure you'll find out post-race. I'll make an announcement about it for those that don't watch the broadcast. But you know what to do, Andrew. You come home third tonight, you pick up some more points, and you're on the podium yet again this year. So now's your time. Friends, family, anybody you want to shout out at home, anybody watching. You had some people supporting you tonight, so definitely want to give some shout outs there. And then just, sponsors or anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to thank Stamos Realtors, the Bedford School, JP West Photo, the King's Pop Culture. Really want to thank all my friends and family for watching, my girlfriend and mother, and even some of the students at Bentley University. So I know they were pretty excited for this race tonight. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, what a drive from you tonight, Andrew. You battled as hard as I've ever seen you battle tonight. It was just, unfortunately, it seemed like the opportunity just never kind of came. But you were so great at Iowa last season. You come back this season, pick up another podium. I have no doubt in my mind that you are going to be one of the guys to watch out for, if not the guy to watch out for the championship in the last couple of races. So you've been close in the last couple of years. This could be the year, and we'll find out next week as the another chapter at Mosport goes live. So we'll see you in a week, Andrew. Have a good rest of your week, and congratulations again on a great race.
All right, thanks, Marshall.
There you go. So that'll round off your first interview of the night with third place finisher, a guy that's going to pick up more championship points, extremely valuable at this point in the season, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. And that takes us to second place, a guy we haven't talked to in quite a while here on the broadcast, just because, well, he hasn't raced with us all season, or at least not since Gateway last year. So he makes his return tonight and runs an almost flawless race. It was just at the end, couldn't quite get it to work. So let's get his graphic up here. And we'll go to your runner-up finisher tonight, driver of the number 72, making his return tonight in the All-Star race, Mr. Michael Krobach. Hey, Michael, Marshall from the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Marshall, how's it going?
It is going great. What a fun race to watch tonight. The All-Star race is now officially concluded, and it was so great to have you back. And you proved to everybody why we bring you back for these things. Of course, you won the last time you made a one-off appearance, and you competed again tonight. Just talk us through those last couple laps. You got by Andrew late. We knew you had the momentum. Those last two laps to the finish, what was it like trying to get by Trevor and just come up just short? What went wrong there?
Man, that was an absolute blast. We had no short run speed on the 72. Our strength was with tire conservation and just having a bit more grip at the end of a long fuel run and kind of working that high lane. I think that's where the strength was all night. And so, I was hoping that last caution didn't come out, and I knew that maybe we would have a shot if it didn't come out. And I wasn't that optimistic when it did. Trevor got a great restart. I thought about, okay, do I leg back a little bit and stay with Logan? Do I close up with Trevor? And I tried to stay as close as I could to Trevor, and then I saw him get tight in turn 3 and have to lift. And I thought, okay, this is my chance. He's gonna, kiss the wall off of 4. And as soon as I put the throttle down, I started to push and I had to lift as well, or I would have knocked the wall down too. So I think that kind of sealed the deal there. And then last lap couldn't do much with the aero push. Long run was definitely our strength.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to be. You were just running your way through the field over the course of that really long green flag stint in the middle of the race, and it was a very different style of race we saw tonight, as I'm sure you were used to back in your old days in the series at the ovals. Very few cautions. How did that kind of change the dynamic from you? Were you coming into this race, maybe it's been a while, but were you coming in expecting a pretty caution-filled race? And how do you have to change your approach as a driver, kind of realizing it's not going to be?
Yeah, I mean, hopping in practice, like this was the first time I'd driven the car since the race at Gateway last season, so I have no laps in this car. And immediately, first couple practice laps, I felt that the car drove a lot different than it did last year. I could tell that it probably wouldn't be a single file train down on the white line like the old aero package used to be with this car. So I figured, tire conservation probably was the name of the game. So yeah, that kind of went in my mind off the bat, and I figured if we're gonna have to lift and manage the throttle and manage the tires, we probably wouldn't wreck a lot. So I practiced a few green flag pit stops. It would have been really fun if we had to do a green flag pit stop. I was kind of thinking about doing that and kind of seeing where we would all shake out with getting in and off the pit road. I felt I was pretty comfortable with that. Maybe that might have made a difference. I don't know. But yeah, I just needed a long run. I needed those 5 extra laps, and maybe we could have got Trevor, but he was strong all night. He had a great clean battle with Andrew, and it was fun to kind of leg back and sit in third position most of the night and kind of just watch those two battle. I thought about putting it middle 3 wide a couple times, but I'm just the new guy jumping back in after a year away. I didn't want to mess up anybody's championship fight, so it was fun to watch, fun to be a part of, and I just needed a few more laps on those tires.
Yeah, it definitely looked like there that caution was going to cost you, and it really does suck that it did. But in the end, you fought as close as you absolutely could have, and I was impressed how much ground you made up there in those last 2 laps, because nobody in the practice races this week seemed to be able to find that pace on the leader on the restarts there. But yeah, you make your return tonight. So nice to have you back here at Iowa, and just it's not the sort of racing you're used to. I know you talked about the car being different. You haven't run the Indy Pro since the last time you were in this series, but you were an experienced oval guy. You're obviously an almost full-time, almost sim racing driver there in a variety of oval series. So talk about, do you feel like it is a kind of an easy transition to come back to this car, run an open wheel race car at an oval after all your experiences, or is it just a totally different ballgame?
I think for the first 10 or 15 laps, I was like, what am I doing? I have no idea how to drive this car. And then I just kind of strung a few laps together, and it drove a lot like the IR-18 does right now, kind of just with how you manage the throttle and how you carry the momentum. So I was kind of practicing backing up my corner entry so I could just lift a little bit on entry and then plant the throttle on exit and carry that momentum forward. And I think what the difference was I could hear that a lot of drivers were shifting down to 5th gear through the corners. And I tried that a couple times, but I felt that was wearing the right front a little bit more. So I kind of stuck with the strategy of keeping it in 6th gear the whole time, only shifting to 5th if they really needed that extra momentum. And I think that made the difference with tire conservation. But whatever they did to update this car in terms of aero definitely made it a lot more of a driver's car compared to pack racing before. So I hats off to iRacing for that change. And it feels like the Indy car kind of feels like the stock cars that I'm driving full time right now. So there's a lot of things that transferred over once I kind of figured out what the heck was going on with this new car.
And speaking of the stuff you're doing in stock cars in the background, you know what to do here in the interview. You've done it many a times, but yeah, you've got so much stuff going on in the background for you. So in addition to sponsors, any shout outs to friends and family, if you want to talk about the series you got going on in the background, we're more than happy to shout them out for you.
Oh, thanks, Marshall. Yeah, I'm running the Pretty Good Racing League. It's a league that me and a couple teammates created this year. All the racing is pretty good. We have simplified rules, emphasis on having fun, but keeping things competitive. We run the stock car, next gen stock cars, for 3 short little seasons there. Broadcast on one of your competitors, but you and our partner are both great in terms of broadcasts. So I run that on Tuesday night. So if anybody needs some stock car in their life, feel free to check us out at prettygoodracingleague.com.
Awesome. Anybody absolutely go check it out. I really wish I had been more involved with it this season than I have and checked it out previously, but just it's been a busy year. But no, we're more than happy to shout out any channel on this channel. It's a giant world of iRacing content as long as everybody's getting to watch the series they want to see. No, I'm more than happy to shout out any channel out there. So there you go, Michael. We get you back, and it was so fun to see the 72 car out there again and again. Now you got a first and a second. So if you come back in the near future, I have no doubt that that you'll provide some challenge to our full-time championship guys yet again. But thank you, Michael, for coming back for the All-Star race tonight, and hopefully it won't be too long before we see you again.
Yeah, thanks, Marshall. I got to thank you for the invite, and everything on the Full Send Racing Network is a blast to watch. And I got to thank all my sponsors too: Thumbs Up, Cancer Down, Joy of Driving, Clipping That Apex, Sim Racing Apps, which calculated the fuel mileage perfectly tonight. We didn't put any extra weight. I know Justin was mentioning that he put too much fuel in. Sim Racing Apps calculates that perfectly. Graphics Esports, Mayhem Speed Laboratories, Spotlights, and the Loud Pedal Motorsports Group. Hats off to everybody.
I believe my dad actually runs 3 or 4 of your sponsors in some capacity on his sim rig, so definitely it is a brand that I can, several brands in there that I would absolutely recommend from his rig. So thank you, Michael, for everything you do in the series, and I wish you the very best with your series going forward, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Thanks,
Marshall. Happy to run here anytime you want me.
Awesome. I will extend the invite many times.
All right, cheers, buddy.
See ya. There you go. Second interview of the night with the returning one-off appearance from Michael Krobach. Always so much fun to have him back. Not a former champion of the series, but a guy that had his fair share of wins, not only on the road or on the ovals. Don't forget, he won a race at the Nürburgring a couple years back, which crazy to think about. That is not by any means an oval driver's transition track, I would have thought, over to road course racing, but he's a former karting driver for a number of years. We ran in the rookie series together for a number of seasons, so it's not out of the question that we could bring him back for road course race and he'd be just as quick. But here we go, final interview of the night. This is the important one. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for sticking with us. We'll try not to keep you for too long, but Trevor Anderson, your final interview of the night, second race win of the season for the Bozeman, Montana native. I'm remembering my states. We're getting there. So Bozeman, Montana, Mr. Trevor Anderson. Let's bring him in the booth and find out, in addition to how his race went, where we're driving in the finale. Hey, Trevor, Marshall up in the broadcast booth. Got a copy?
Yep, I got you, Marshall.
Hey, Trevor, congratulations. Second of the year, your first multi-win season in series history, and you do it in just perfect fashion. You got to the lead there on about lap 30, and from start to finish, you were just coasting up front for most of the race, defending really well, keeping the runoff from Andrew. He finally gave you a challenge there late, but you fight back, and you get to the end. Just talk through a little bit what you've been enjoying about the Indy Pro Car at the ovals this season, because you were quick at Phoenix as well, and what it was like in that battle with Andrew and how you got the better of him in the end.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this Indy Pro Car, but I really enjoy driving it on the ovals. I've been practicing ovals a lot, so I ran the C Open NASCAR truck here at Iowa a few weeks ago, so I've been pretty comfortable with this track. And Andrew was kind of trying to hug the inside line, and I was like, well, hey, if he's gonna give me the outside, I'll take the outside and I'll save my tires a little bit. And then sure enough, he ended up killing his right front tire, and then he just couldn't hold it down there anymore. So I just started driving away. It worked out pretty perfectly, I gotta say.
Yeah, absolutely. That was picture perfect, and he hold off the guy we call the Oval Master in this series, the guy that's won countless oval races, not only in the Indy Pro, but in many other disciplines. So to come out on top of a field of 18 tonight, you knew it wasn't going to be easy. And in this series, battling for a championship, it was going to be so important you stay ahead of Andrew and Nick, which you did, though they weren't too far back. So trying to battle back there in the championship, how do you approach the race any differently? Is there any tracks this season that you're looking forward to as your best opportunity to get back in the fight? And just tonight, are you ever looking out on the relative screen for where your championship rivals are sitting?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm always looking for them, but at the end of the day, I just got to race my own race, and there's nothing I can do about how they do. So I was definitely looking forward to this one. I have a lot of fun at the ovals. I kind of knew this being more of a short track, I'd have a pretty good shot. And last week, I did not have a good performance, so I knew I really, really had to come back this week and show up. So I'm pretty pleased with that. And every race going forward, I'm just gonna be out there, got to go as hard as I can. Canadian Tire next week, that's gonna be fun. That's a real tricky track, and it'll be interesting in the Formula Renault. Gonna have a lot of fun there. And then Auto Club is gonna be another interesting one, kind of a lottery, almost like Indianapolis, but it's definitely gonna be one where as long as you're there at the end, that's all that really matters for a good finish. So looking forward to that too.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect. Those are going to be some really fun tracks to watch. Formula or no at Auto Club. What a way to end off the oval part of the season. So you could go for 3 wins at ovals there in just a couple weeks. But before then, the one notable race you couldn't mention there at the end was the finale, because we don't yet know where it is. And now is the moment, Trevor. As the All-Star race winner, you are assigned the task of picking from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, or WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. So this is up to you. What's the thought process? What are you thinking? How do you feel at each? And what are you going to pick for the finale this year?
So I'm kind of going to go a little, I guess, against the grain in a way. I don't have Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and I've never raced on it before. And that kind of excites me. So I want to run at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Spa is going to be more of a drafting type track where it's more luck based in a way. It's going to be hard to get away from people, so it'll be not really looking forward to that, I guess. And then Laguna Seca, awesome track, super fun. I just have not had the best results there, so I'd just like to try something new and have some fun in Canada.
Okay, well, I respect that. We have many Canadian drivers in the series who I'm sure are all going to appreciate another chance to go back up north. But Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Canadian GP, what a fun race that's going to be. That's a track with plenty of passing opportunities. Even Andrew mentioned it in his, I forget if it was Andrew or, no, it was Andrew, mentioning the Wall of Champions there, that final turn. That is going to be such a fun final corner to round off the season. So I think that's a great pick, and I totally respect Trevor picking a track that you don't even own, that you're not experienced with, but to give yourself the challenge of trying to figure it out. And that we're gonna be sure to remember that if you do indeed win there and come off the end of the year as the champion. It's a pretty bold, respectable racing decision. So. Well, Trevor, congratulations tonight, man. What an important race to pick, and again, a really good choice. I totally respect that. So we will start getting stuff set up for round 12 at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve now. But before then, you know what to do. You've been in this broadcast booth a number of times this season. Second time is the final interview. So any shout-outs you want to give, friends and family, sponsors, anything you want to mention, now's your time.
Yeah, so I'd just like to thank my wife, Sloan, of course. She was right there watching the finish of the race, so that was super cool. I was like, I can't believe that caution just came out. And then, so she was there watching the finish, and that was awesome. And then my friend Brendan, he was watching the race too. He's always watching me when I win, so that's awesome. And then my dad, of course, and Lexi and Andrea, and then Hoffman. He's watching the race. He's taught me pretty much everything I know about racing. So, yeah, big shout out to him. And then my grandma Kathy and grandma Evelyn for always watching my races. So yeah, I got a lot of fans, and I really appreciate all them watching. So hoping to have a good rest of the season.
Awesome. Well, your fans wrote in great force tonight. You had some mentions there in the comments, and yeah, what a year you're putting on for them. 3 races to go, Mosport, Auto Club, and now the Canadian GP to round off the year. Trevor, you got, I'd imagine, quite a bit of pressure on you, but as long as you get that support system, by the sounds of it, you're going to be definitely, in my opinion, a shoe-in to be in contention there at the end of the year. So again, congratulations, second of the year. What a year it's been for you, Trevor, and I can't wait to see this battle to the finish. So congratulations, have a great week, celebrate the win, and we'll see you back next week at Mosport.
Thanks, Marshall.
There you go, Trevor Anderson, your race winner in the All-Star race at Iowa. I almost said Auto Club. We're not there yet. Auto Club is in a couple weeks. I'm really excited for Auto Club too. That's going to be an amazing race. But there you go. Trevor heads off the track. We are now done for tonight. Now it is time to go over your season schedule, that now we can more definitively, well, we can quantify what that final race is, and it is the final option there. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve will be the venue for the season finale. So we have 2 races north of the border this season, both Canadian Tire Motorsports Park next week at Mosport, at a local track to those of you living in Ontario that is actually here. And now Circuit Gilles Villeneuve out in Montreal. So 2 Canadian tracks in the final 3 this season, and Auto Club to split the 2. There is your schedule. The season finishes on March 27th, the weekend before my birthday. So really looking forward to that. I'm excited for my birthday this year. I'm turning 19. That's always an exciting year. You guys are going to know. So unfortunately, no drunk broadcast on April. Would that be the 3rd or something? Unfortunately, no. But maybe in future we'll make a fun little thing out of it in a future season. All-Star Race 3 drunk edition. Of course, drink safely, everybody. especially in a driving series. I don't feel like it's in good conscience to support too much drinking while you're driving. So there you go. We'll make that a disclaimer. And I'm not really an alcohol guy anyway. So that's about the end of that very long description. So there you go. March 27th, the moral of the story is the finale of this season. With that, we're going to go back to virtual Marshall here as he chills and throws the thumbs up. I have about 80 selfies with that exact pose, so maybe next week if the camera continues to not work, but we'll get it on for next week. But some other time we'll switch it up a little bit. But again, your final results tonight, we'll put them up on the timing tower up in the top left. At least we'll try. There they are. Your final results tonight, Trevor Anderson, your race winner, ahead of Michael Krobach making his return for a one-off, and Andrew Bedrosian. That is your top 3. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, as always, for watching tonight. Again, thank you to our sponsors, CanadianMiniIndy.com, for premier karting racing in the Ontario area. That is where to go. Link is, as always, in the description to them. Same with EvanWallMedia.com, the supporter of all of our graphics in this series, as well as the Bandit Racing League on this channel. And he's got a number of things going on, can always make you some great stuff. So go check out EvanWallMedia.com, and of course, on the bottom left, Full Send Racing Network. Always appreciate it if you want to subscribe, if you want to keep it tuned for these races every week. They always happen on Sunday, at least unless we announce beforehand. They always take place 8 o'clock Sunday nights, but if you ever miss one, that's to make sure you do not. So Full Send Racing Network there in the bottom left corner, and that will round off tonight's race here. For myself and everybody in the series, again, EvanWallMedia.com. Thank you for watching tonight's event from Iowa Speedway, or virtual Iowa Speedway tonight, in the 9th round of the 2nd season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. In tonight's All-Star race, race winner Trevor Anderson has selected Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where we will head in just a couple weeks for the finale. Have a great rest of your week, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoy as the restrictions start to lift here in Ontario. Have a great March for yourselves, and we will see you guys back next Sunday at Mosport. Have a great rest of your week, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you soon.